Hello children. In this video, we are going to study how the microorganisms are harmful for us. Now in the next part of our video, we are going to study the harmful microorganisms. They are called pathogens because they are the ones that cause disease in humans, animals and plants. Where in the previous part of the chapter we saw that the microorganisms are beneficial, these ones are harmful because they cause diseases and they are called infectious agents because they cause infection. Now these are the diseases that can spread because microorganisms are present everywhere. As we have seen in the previous part of the chapter, the microorganisms are present right from the iciest place, the coldest place, to the hottest place. They don't spare any habitat. That's why these microorganisms, when they infect a person, they could infect anyone from the icy cold place to the hottest place or desert like habitat. And these diseases are called as communicable diseases because they are easily spread, such as cholera, common cold, chickenpox and tuberculosis. Now let's see some of the diseases which are caused in humans because of these microorganisms and how they are transmitted. For example, we start with tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is caused by bacteria and the mode of transmission is air. And measles, again a disease wherein you get pox-like things on your body. It's caused by virus, again spreads through air. Chickenpox, another disease which has kind of boils on the body. It's again caused by virus. It can be spread by air and contact. Polio, one of the diseases which has been declared as completely eradicated, was caused by virus. It used to spread by air or water. Now how do we keep the person safe from these diseases? First step would be to keep the patient in isolation, as in quarantine the person, or the personal belongings of the patient should be kept away, just like we are doing right now. And there are vaccinations available at suitable ages. So if a person is suitably vaccinated, these diseases would not be occurring. The next set of diseases are cholera and typhoid. Both are caused by bacteria and the spread is through water. These are waterborne diseases. But cholera can also spread by contaminated food. And what is required if you want to keep these diseases away? You have to maintain personal hygiene and good sanitary habits. Because in cholera, a person is not just vomiting, he is also having dysentery. Therefore, sanitary habits has to be kept. And the person has to eat properly cooked food. Sometimes uncooked food contain the microorganisms which are spread again through uncooked food, and therefore it has to be properly cooked before consuming. Boiling of water is another method because the diseases are waterborne, so boiling of water would definitely kill the bacteria. Last but not the least is vaccination. The next one is hepatitis A. Virus is the causative agent, is a disease causing microorganism. It's spread through water. Also, we call this hepatitis as jaundice. And drinking boiled water, because it's a waterborne disease, helps prevent this disease. And of course, there is vaccination for hepatitis A also. Last but not the least is malaria, which is caused by protozoa. And the carrier for this disease is mosquito. The mosquito, that is female Anopheles mosquito. And what can be done to prevent malaria? You can use mosquito nets and repellents, spray insecticides and control breeding of mosquito by not allowing water to collect in the stagnant place or surroundings. So that is another way of preventing malaria. Mosquito nets, we all have seen mosquito nets in and around our houses. Insecticides can help prevent this malaria because insecticides would kill the insect called mosquito. And also, if we allow the water to collect and stagnate, it becomes the breeding ground for mosquito. Therefore, it has to be disallowed by us so that mosquitoes don't breed and therefore they don't cause malaria. These are the diseases caused by microorganisms, also called pathogens. This is the picture of female Anopheles mosquito which spreads the disease called malaria. It is the carrier of the disease and it carries the microorganism called protozoa and therefore spread of malaria. Not just humans, but even the plants are affected by microorganisms. The first one, citrus canker, caused by bacteria, is transmitted through air. A rust of wheat, another disease which is affecting the wheat, is caused by fungi and it can spread through air, improper seeds. Last but not the least is yellow vein mosaic of bhindi or okra, also called as lady's finger. It's caused by virus and the mode of transmission is insects are also affected. Therefore, the insects which are carriers are the ones that transmit this disease to the crop of which was spoiled by microorganisms, also called it causes food poisoning. And because of consumption of food, we start vomiting and get loose motions also. This brings us to the next part, that is food preservation. Why do we need to preserve food? Because if the food gets spoiled, we get food poisoning. And there are multiple ways of preserving food. Let us see them one by one. The first one on our list is chemical method. Chemical method means addition of some chemical compounds to avoid the spoilage of food. Which are these? These are sodium benzoate and sodium metasulfide. These are the common ones. They are used in jams and squashes. Now we all know what jams are. What are squashes? Squashes are the concentrated juices which when we mix with water we could consume at any point of time. In addition to that, in the olden times, salt and edible oils were generally used as chemicals for the preservation of food for a longer period of time, just like pickles and murabbas that we have eaten. Common salt has been used as a preservative for a long time. Meat, fish, amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. When they are dusted with salt, they are preserved because it removes all the moisture and therefore it disallows the microorganisms to breathe there. And therefore, the food items remain edible for a longer period of time. This is second way of preservation. Now the next one is preservation of sugar. Again, an age-old method wherein jams, jellies and squashes were made with loads of sugar to inhibit the growth of bacteria and therefore avoid the spoilage of food. The next method is preservation by oil and vinegar. Oil, the one that we get in the market, usage of that in more quantity disallows the bacteria to thrive in it. Just like we have seen, pickles are covered with oil. The next one is vinegar. Vinegar we know is acetic acid and it's a weak acid, therefore edible, but it prevents the growth of bacteria and bacteria cannot live in this acidic environment. Therefore, this is one of the finest methods of preservation. Now next method is heat and cold treatments. You boil something, you kill the microorganisms in it and therefore avoid the spoilage of that particular thing. Just like mother boils milk unspoiled for a stipulated period of time. Similarly, if you store milk in the refrigerator, it still doesn't get spoiled very easily or very soon. Why? Because this coldness disallows the microbes to grow and therefore the heat and cold treatments work to avoid the growth and spoilage of food by microorganisms. Now the next method is pasteurization. It was discovered by Louis Pasteur. In this process, what is exactly done is the milk is boiled up to 70 degrees Celsius and just for 15 to 30 seconds and then it is suddenly cooled down. It is chilled and stored. Thus, this sudden heat and cold is actually able to kill the microbes and therefore it prevents the growth of microbes. And these microbes, because they are disallowed or it is inhibited, the milk doesn't get spoiled very easily. And this milk can be consumed without boiling because it is free from harmful microbes. Now the last but not the least is storage and packing. The way we store and pack things also defines whether the microbes will grow there or not. Say for example, if it is airtight, then the microorganisms are not going to get enough air to breathe and therefore they are naturally stopped from growing, and thus the food remains unspoiled for a longer period of time. That's all for now. We'll meet again in the next part with the remaining part of the chapter. Good day.